What the happened in Super Bowl XLVIII? It was a matchup between high-flying offense and elite lockdown defense. Peyton Manning, who just had an insane record-setting year where he threw for almost 5,500 yards and 55 touchdowns and won the MVP, led the high-flying Denver offense, and Russell Wilson led the Seahawks with their legendary Legion of Boom defense, known for blowing people up with blistering hits and locking down pass catchers with their cover 3 scheme. The first play of the game really set the tone for Denver as the snap flew over Peyton's head, and running back Knowshon Moreno scrambled to recover it for a safety that gave Seattle the ball and a 2-point lead to start the game. Golden Tate got a good return on the safety kick, and the Seahawks got the ball at their own 35 where they handed it to Marshawn Lynch for a short gain on first. On second, they handed it to Percy Harvin on a jet sweep where he easily skirted around the edge and ran for about 30 yards before stepping out of bounds. The Seahawks got backed up by a false start, and on 1st and 15, they ran a PA boot where Russ missed his tight end, Zach Miller. On 2nd and 15, he quickly gunned it to Jermaine Kearse to get them a little closer to the sticks, and on 3rd and 9, Wilson hit him again on a slant to pick up the conversion and get them inside Denver's 20. Beast Mode got stuffed on the next play, losing 2, and on 2nd and 12, Russ kept it on the read option and took it for 6, getting them halfway there. On 3rd, Russ made his first read, didn't like it, spun around, and scrambled for the sideline where he went out very close to the sticks. Pete Carroll challenged the initial spot that put him short of the line to gain, but it was unsuccessful, and Hoshka would end up booting it through and making the lead 5-0 after Seattle's first drive. A run to Moreno got Denver 3 on 1st, and on 2nd and 7, the Legion of Boom lived up to its nickname as Cam Chancellor blew up Demaryius Thomas coming over the middle on a shallow crosser for a minimal gain. On 3rd and 5, the Broncos tried to get some rub over the middle on a mesh play, but tight end Julius Thomas was brought down immediately short of the sticks, and Denver would be punting it away from their own territory. Everyone was clamped for the Seahawks on 1st, and Wilson had to just throw it away. On 2nd, they handed it to Beast Mode, who only picked up a few, and on 3rd, Russ improvised and ran to his left before finding Golden Tate just past the sticks on the sideline for a first. Next play, he stepped up and checked it to the fullback Robinson in the flat for a nice gain of 6. They went to Lynch again on 2nd, but it went nowhere. And on 3rd, Russ rocketed one to Doug Baldwin on a quick end to move the chains past midfield. On 1st, inside Denver's 45, Harvin reeled in a tough catch from Russ and took it forward for 5 before Seattle dialed up some trickery on 2nd that didn't really work, and Wilson just had to throw it away. On 3rd and 5, Russ caught it from the gun and lofted a beautiful ball to Baldwin, who was wide open down the sideline on the slot fade where he'd continue running before getting tripped up at the 6. A holding call on the line backed up Seattle to the 16 after a failed rush attempt by Lynch, where they handed it back to him for a minuscule gain. On 2nd and goal from the 15, Percy Harvin dropped the swing pass from Russ that was thought to be a fumble since the ball might have gotten thrown laterally on the play, and after a challenge and a lengthy review, it was ruled an incomplete pass. On the next play, 3rd and long, Russ dropped back and slung it high and up the seam to Jermaine Kearse in the end zone, but it was broken up and Seattle would be settling for 3 again, widening the lead to 8 with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Manning hit Wes Welker quickly on the spot route on 1st for 5, and on 2nd he handed it to Moreno in the pistol on an outside zone, but he fumbled the ball and Denver barely recovered it. On 3rd and 7, Manning stepped up around the pressure on his right and threw a high wobbler over his tight end that was gift wrapped for Cam Chancellor, who caught it inside Denver's 40. The mistakes were starting to add up quickly for the Broncos. Another sweep to Harvin got the Seahawks another big gain, and Seattle was just outside the red zone. Wilson caught the snap and checked it quickly over the middle to his tight end on a spot route, and on 2nd and 5, Lynch powered through Denver's defense for a good gain of 6 and a first. It went right back to him on 1st, but Denver held the edge on the outside run and buried Marshawn in the backfield. On 2nd, Wilson quickly found Baldwin on a hitch to get them closer to the sticks, and on 3rd and 4, he rolled out and tried Golden Tate, but the corner Carter never played the ball, pushing him as the ball arrived, and it gave the Broncos a new set of downs with the PI call. The Seahawks did what they should have done in Super Bowl XLIX and pounded the rock with Beast Mode at the goal line. First, he came up barely short, but on 2nd, he plowed through the line and came out the other side standing upright for the touchdown. And with an extra point, Seattle's lead was 15-0 early in the second quarter. To start their next drive, Manning play faked and threw a screen to DT, who caught it and worked forward for 6, before they ran a screen to him again on 2nd where he set up 3rd and 1. Moreno took the handoff and easily picked up up the first down and more. From the 30, Manning held the ball for a long time on an RPO before hitting Thomas on a slant for 7. They honestly got away with an ineligible man downfield on that play. Moreno took another inside handoff and fell barely short of the sticks before they set up a third screen to DT, where he danced around but lunged forward in the end for the few inches they needed. On first, Manning took a shot for DT, but it sailed over his head and he was double covered. On second, a screen for running back Monte Ball went nowhere, and on 3rd and 9, Manning found Welker on the shallow crosser to get them the clutch first down conversion they needed, and they moved into Seattle territory. The Broncos ran the same screen to DT they started the drive with more success this time as he gained 9, but Ball got stuffed at the line on second, and on third, Ball got it again and pushed forward for the first. Peyton rolled right on 1st and 10 and kept his eyes downfield but ended up throwing it away. In assisting his scramble, however, Zane Beadles tripped up Red Bryant and the Broncos were backed up by 10. Next play, a tight end screen got snuffed out and Denver lost another 2 yards before a good inside handoff to Moreno got them to 3rd and 13, where both edge rushers met at Manning, who barely let go of a duck that floated right to linebacker Malcolm Smith, who ran all alone with nothing but big boys behind him to the end zone. Denver's most promising drive so far just ended with a pick 6, and with Hoshka's extra point, it was beginning to look like a blowout, 22-0 with 3 minutes left in the half. A good return got Denver past their 30, and on first, Manning quickly hit his tight end Julius Thomas for 5 on a quick in, and on second, he stepped up in the pocket but threw an inaccurate ball that sailed over Decker, who was open on the flood play. He made up for it on the next play as he lofted a beautiful back shoulder ball for DT, who made a physical catch and held on through contact. Next play, he hit Welker on a quick spot route, and on 2nd and 5, he hesitated before hitting Julius Thomas again on a deep stick route to pick up the first inside Seattle's 30. On 1st and 10, Manning tried to go back to Thomas again on a deep crosser, but it looked like he might have been interfered with by Freak Bob, but it went uncalled. 2nd and 10, Moreno caught a running back screen for a good gain, but a false start backed the Broncos offense up to 3rd and long, where Manning scrambled before launching one back across his body for Moreno, who was tackled 2 yards short of the sticks. John Fox, incorrectly assuming he had a fat sack, went for it on 4th and 2, where Peyton's throw got tipped and wobbled into the dirt, almost getting intercepted again. The Seahawks got it back and just ran it up the gut a few times with Lynch to end the half, as they knew they'd receive it after halftime. Prater tried a high kick that gave Denver's defenders plenty of time to get there, and the ball bounced to Percy Harvin, who took everybody's ankles before getting past Prater, and he bounded alone into the end zone to widen Seattle's monstrous lead even more. Everything that could possibly go wrong for Denver was, and to start the 3rd quarter, Seattle was up 29-0. The Broncos got it back, and Manning missed Welker on first, but on second, he hit him in stride from the slot, and he easily picked up the first. Next play, Peyton was incredibly lucky that he wasn't picked off as he let one go that barely fell incomplete between 3 Seahawks defenders without a single orange jersey in sight. He rolled right on second and threw back across his body to Moreno again to set up 3rd and 4, where he hit Decker on a quick end to move the sticks at midfield. Another wide receiver screen to DT got them 4, and star corner Richard Sherman was injured on the play. DT caught a crosser over the middle that set up 3rd and 3, where Bryant got drawn off sides and gave Denver another first. On second, Manning threw a contested ball over the middle for Welker, but Chancellor managed to break it up, and on 3rd down, they just handed it to Ball, who was buried alive in the backfield, and they'd be punting again. Beast Mode made a great cutback on 1st and 10, where he got into the secondary and picked up 18 before going down. Next play, he got tackled in the backfield, and on second, they faked it to him before Russ took a linebacker's ankles and seemingly got the first, but a holding call took away the big gain. Backup running back Turbin came in and got a short gain to set up 3rd and 17 before Russ threw it out to Tate on a screen that got nothing, and Seattle would have to punt it back to the Broncos. Ball got a meager gain on first, and on second, Manning hit Thomas, who was wide open on a crosser, for the first. Next play, he hit a great tight window throw to DT, but he fumbled it trying to stiff arm the defender on the run after catch, and Malcolm Smith would recover yet another turnover. Beast Mode rumbled forward for a few on first, and on second, Wilson threw it to other Wilson, who dropped it, but went back to him on third, where he caught it this time in stride and got them into Denver territory. Lynch went nowhere on first, and on second, Russ threw a bullet over the middle to lock it to get them inside the 25. Next play, Russ hit Curse on a quick in over the middle, where he got popped twice, spun around, and ran into the end zone after breaking 4 total attempted tackles. It was now 36 to goose egg nearing the end of the 3rd quarter. A Denver holding call backed them up to 1st and 20, where Welker got his head blown off coming over the middle for only 3, and on second, Manning threw another shallow crosser to tight end Thomas to get them to 3rd and 9, where Denver would convert with the assistance of a pass interference play as DT was getting giga held and Maxwell never looked for the ball. Next play, Manning hooked up with Welker again on a quick in for a first, and next play he hit Jacob Tamme on the spot route to pick up another. On 1st and 10 from the 36, Manning managed to punish the soft coverage of Seattle again, hitting Welker on a deep crosser where he'd catch it and run out of bounds at Seattle's 14. With 2 seconds left in the quarter, Manning threw a jump ball to DT on the outside post where he hauled it in through contact, and the Broncos would have their first score at the ass end of the third quarter. They went for 2, and Manning hit Welker in the flat where he managed to get in for the score. Denver would need a miracle to win this one, and it showed as they tried a high onside kick, but the Seahawks caught it and fell on it, getting the ball in Broncos territory. Turbin rounded the edge and looked to get a massive gain on the outside run, but it was assisted by a hold that ended up neutralizing the play and backing them up to their own 42, where Russ threw a hand grenade to tight end Miller, and he got them half of what they needed for the conversion. Off play action on second, Russ hit Golden Tate, who danced around backwards before going down, and a Broncos defender gave his teammates CTE. On 3rd and 2, Wilson scrambled right before throwing a bullet on the run to Doug Baldwin for a miraculous first. He then hit Jermaine Kearse wide open up the seam in a mismatch of man coverage with a linebacker, and they were knocking on the door at the 10, where he hit Baldwin again, who caught it, ducked between 3 tacklers, and wriggled his way in for the score. It was 43-8 with 11 to go in the fourth. Manning's first throw was batted down, and on 2nd and 10, he threw into double coverage where it was broken up, and Sherman seemingly re-aggravated his injury and had to come out of the game. On 3rd and 10, he tried DT down the sideline, and the pass went over his head, but Thurman, the defender, was called for a relatively weak pass interference that gave Denver a first down. Next play, Manning barely got the throw off in time to DT on the crosser, where he caught it and worked forward for a big gain. The check down to ball went nowhere on 1st, and on 2nd, Welker caught it in the soft spot of the zone for a short gain. On 3rd and 2, Decker dropped the screen, and on 4th, Manning checked it down to ball past the sticks, but the throw was low, and it hit the ground incomplete. Turbin took the inside zone for 6 on 1st, and on 2nd, they called his number again where he'd set up 3rd and 1. They gave it to him again, and he easily picked up the first with some good blocking up front. They tried him up the middle again, but a penalty backed them up to 1st and 20, where Russ used his wheels to get them most of what they needed, before 2 failed runs and a missed throw on 4th turned it over on downs back to the Broncos. With 5 minutes left in the game, the Broncos could only play for pride at this point, and 2 runs to ball went nowhere before Peyton failed to hit Thomas on a skinny post on 3rd and 11. On 4th and 11, Manning got stripped during his throwing motion and completed the hat trick of turnovers, and Seattle got it at Denver's 29. Seattle spammed 2 more runs to Turbin, and Russ threw it away on 3rd and long, before they just ran it with Turbin on 4th to get inside the 2-minute warning. They turn over the ball on downs, and Manning checked it down for a first down as Pete Carroll got a Gatorade bath from Russ, and Denver just ran out the rest of the clock with a few rushing attempts up the middle. Seattle Sewhawks won their first ever Super Bowl title, and Peyton Manning's dream season ended with a nightmare. The worst Super Bowl blowout in recent history, and the young Seattle team looked primed to take the league by storm. Hey guys, we just hit 1,000 subscribers after the last video, and I'd like to thank everybody who's subbed and everybody who watches these and leaves comments. I love reading them and replying to them, and I appreciate all you guys. Also, I just made a Patreon if anybody wants to help support the channel. I just posted an exclusive video of my live reaction to my team getting blown out in the Super Bowl, if you guys want to check that out. Anyways guys, I'm going back in time and making a what the f happened video for every past Super Bowl, and I even have one for this year's Super Bowl, so go and check it out. Peace.